Good morning, everyone. I'm here next to the highway picking some blackberries for breakfast, and I had a thought in the shower, and I kind of was excited to share. So the idea was I was watching this movie called I Am, which was telling about these caribou or some kind of deer type creature, that how they made decisions in groups. And it was asking, are humans naturally more democratic, or are they naturally more one leader telling the rest what to do? And what they found was that the animals, if say they were going to a watering hole, they would decide not based on when one deer said it was time to go, but based on when 51% of the deer all turn their heads at the same time towards the same watering hole. Then that movement moved them forward, and everyone would go, and sometimes the leader, the alpha deer, would be the last one. And the reason that this was interesting was because I was talking to my friend who was thinking of investing in politics, in politicians, and looking at the political system as a way to make change. And I've heard Abraham Hicks talk about how politics is really not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. It's a great thing for people who want to be involved, but it's more than anything, it's a place for people who want to involve themselves in seeing a broad array of ideas and circumstances and things in the world, then launch desires from that. And it's a great place for people who really want to be strong focusers on the whole and the global well-being and the general good in the world. But it's not necessarily as big of a deal as it makes it out to be, because they're saying that the balance of the world and everything that happens and just everything that goes on is all law of attraction, and it's just based on the sort of percentage of I would say it's the percentage of people who have the same idea at the same time. So if everybody in the world was all focused on one thing at the same time, then boom, it would definitely happen. But then there's also the idea that different people have different levels and different abilities of focus and intention, and so not everyone is able to hold that clear essence of what they're wanting clearly. In fact, lots of people aren't, and so it makes sense that those who are really focused and really clear are probably some of the more successful, some of the people you've heard of, some people who have achieved great things, become geniuses in your minds, and all of those things, because they've held a consistent focus and a clear thought, and they've just maintained that alignment. Someone who maybe is more focused in this way and that way and all over the place, you might see them as more scattered, and someone who doesn't really get things done. There's so much potential, but not a lot of results or action that happens. So this is really interesting, because it's like, how do you then, in what ways does social change happen? And my friends at unify.org, Adil and Patrick and the crew there, they have been focusing on gathering people in mass quantities and meditating at the same time to affect global vibration and to increase the harmony. And there's been some studies done around that, where a group of people meditating in Washington, D.C. Affected the whole crime rate significantly by 20% or something. And so that's interesting, and so that's what they're doing. And then the thought I had this morning was that if people's focus is what is creating the direction of humanity, then it makes sense that there's so much invested, and that entertainment and distraction consists of such a huge part of our culture and such a big part of our lives. It was such an interesting thing, because I was in Africa a while ago, and the Africans on the bus, there was 10 of us, Canadians and 10 Africans, and the Africans on the bus, we had a long bus ride, and they were singing these songs that they had learned, and they were all from the same country, and none of them knew each other, but all of them knew the same songs, and they were cultural songs that everybody just knew. And the Canadians who didn't know each other, we all bonded over our favorite TV shows and our Friends episodes and our Simpsons episodes. And that was our cultural reference, was our TV. And so it was very interesting to notice that. And so looking at how when culture is created and is the focus of people is on that television or on the internet or on whatever, then yeah, it's very interesting to think about how we can create global change. And so it made me think that one way would be to add more beautiful messages into that culture of television and arts and entertainment that is mass viewable, that many people would be interested in. And I see this all over the place with Avatar and different TV shows and tons of things. It just seems to be happening organically. So it just got me thinking that for those who are interested in really investing in social change, that investing in conscious artists who are going to make a really big difference in creating opportunities for focus for mass consciousness would be a really amazing thing to do. And as whatever I would call myself, an artist, an inspired artist, an inspiring artist, then, and I would say to other artists that for me, the reason I went to Africa was because I didn't think that my art was valuable, was as valuable as helping someone in a developing country, or I didn't understand the idea of how can I make art when people are starving or when this and that is happening. And what I realized is that I went there and went to a few villages and, you know, kind of it was through Canada World Youth, so spent a few months in Africa and just saw, you know, not war, not famine, but just kind of the normal lifestyle, people living in huts and some cities and this and that. And I really saw clearly that these people were creating their own reality, and that unknowingly, unwillingly, not understanding the process of how things get created, they were focusing a lot of attention on these things that kept perpetuating what they were experiencing. And it just became really clear that I was not the teacher for them to share that with them, because they thought I was crazy. I was stretching all the time and moving around and, you know, flirting in public, and that was so, you know, taboo, and all these things that were just not cool. And so it was very interesting to be a part of that dynamic, and to realize that I'm not a teacher there. I was super sick and people thought I was crazy. So, but when I come back here and I connect with people who are really open to learning and growing in their consciousness and in their intentions, then I'm able to really connect with them and really deepen that connection. And then they maybe will have an interaction with someone else, and maybe down the line it'll get to Africa or whatever, and someone, you know, with that knowledge, or maybe it's just not, you know, the place of the Western people to make those changes. But it was just really interesting, and it really made me focus and say, no, this is really valuable. How I can make change is by doing what I love, by doing what my focus is, because I think that if everybody was doing what they really were passionate about, what they really love, then the world would be amazing, because everyone would be really happy, everyone would be really abundant, all things would be going well. And so it's such an interesting thing, and I know people will say, oh, you know, some people don't have the choice and they're born into this and that, and I do believe that we're born from source, and that we choose where we're born, how we're born, and we come there with an intention, with a purpose, and that death is a beautiful thing, that we all emerge into pure non-physical consciousness, and we're, you know, it's like it's fine, and that any being on this earth is so happy to die, and that all deaths are conscious and chosen and intentional, and that there's nothing wrong with the idea of death or the idea of having a life that is hard, because I've heard this idea of one life in one human life in relationship. Say I'm an eternal being and I've had many lives on this earth. My one life right now in my body would be the equivalent of this being watching a movie, and it's that 2 hours portion of my life is the equivalent of my whole life to my soul's life. So, you know, even if I have a bad life, it's like, well, you know, you watch a bad movie, you get over it and you move on. So I totally am looking at the bigger picture, and of course I would like to see everybody happy and healthy and well, and I'm doing my what I feel is the most active perfection of my my being. I want to invest in myself and do what I love and do what feels right for me, and then encourage other people to do the same and just allow other people to learn at the rate that they're ready. I don't want to push my ideas on anybody or make anyone feel wrong or less than. So I try and interact with those people who are ready to hear what I have to say, who are interested in hearing what I have to say. And yeah, so that's about it. I just wanted to share that, and I hope everyone's doing well and focusing on what they love. And yeah, I just wanted to say that I think it's a great thing for artists to spend their lives making beautiful creations that inspire hope and that create beautiful places of focus. And one idea that I've had is to create a beautiful Cirque du Soleil type event, art, activity that really brings people so deep into their connection with the divine source, God, infinite, self, whatever, that they leave feeling transformed and fully, wow, just like immortal. It just brings them to this place of just abundance and co-creativity and bliss and joy and hopefulness and expansion and doing what they love and all these things that really inspires that divine creation, that inspiration to move forward, to create what they really love, to move forward with their life in the way that's most suited for them, that they really love. So I feel like that would be an ideal place to start. I know that for me, I want to create lots of music and lots of beautiful art and share beautiful wisdom and ideas with people. So I hope you're having a wonderful day, and much love to you. I'll see you soon.